Hello everyone and welcome to this course on achieving with the growth mindset. Now, learning about the different mindsets at play that we have has really helped with understanding our limits and our perceptions and our potential. And the truth is that we are usually far more capable than we think we are, and when we are at our limits, there is usually more for us to give. Okay, so we don't really think about this too often, but a lot of our times, our limits are created in our own minds. So our limits are usually the barriers of our mind. So the question is, what can we do to break that limit? What can we do to break these barriers that are holding us back? And for the most part, the answer is the mindset that we carry. So the mindset that we carry has a lot of power in terms of how we act, what we do, how we receive information, and what we do with that information. And all of that put together has a really large impact on the outcome or the progress that we do end up making. All right, so I'm here today to share some views on why is that the case, and what we can do to sort of change it and to put ourselves into a more growth mindset way in terms of moving forward to achieve what we want to achieve in terms of personal life, work life, health, and anything else that you would like to strive in more. So that's what this course will be going through today. It'll be basically going through the different types of mindsets that we adopt, and how they affect our growth and how they will affect us moving forward in terms of our progress, and just ways that we can start to implement in our daily lives to kind of cultivate a more growth mindset in order to help us achieve a little bit more in the future. Okay, so we're going to go through and talk about the two different mindsets first, so you guys know the different mindsets that we can adopt. So basically the two different mindsets that we usually adopt or go towards is either the fixed mindset or the growth mindset. So those are the main two that we usually fall into in terms of learning and growth. So it's either the fixed mindset or it is the growth mindset. Okay, so let's go through and talk about each one of those in a little bit more detail. So basically the fixed mindset is the mindset that lets us view qualities as set in stone. So these are we see things as unchangeable. All right, so it's either we got it or we don't have it. Yeah, and we like to avoid failure as much as possible, as that means that we're not good enough. All right, that's the fixed mindset. All right, the growth mindset is the mindset that helps us turn failure to success. Right, we understand that abilities, skills, and human qualities, these things can be changed and these things can be developed as time goes on. Okay, so a key difference is how these two mindsets differ when it comes to learning. All right, so those with a fixed mindset don't really do well with failure. They think that they are, a cut below the rest, while those with a growth mindset sees failure as a way to learn and a way to understand and how we improve. Okay, so a question that we should ask ourselves is, do I actually believe in learning? Okay, now why should we ask that? Because a lot of us, when we are asked that question, like, is learning important? We always say, yes, of course it is. That's like our default answer. Yeah, and we say that because it is the right answer. We all know it is the right answer. It is what's expected. Learning is always good. But when we encounter a setback or failure, what is our first thought? So it's good to be aware of our first thought. Whenever negative things happen, whenever things don't go our way, we encounter a setback or a failure, what's the first thought that comes into our mind? Is it, oh, I give up, it just wasn't meant for me? Or is it more, okay, how come that didn't work out? Did I go about it the wrong way? How could I do to, do better the next time? Okay, how we react to these situations is the true determiner of if we actually believe in learning. Because if we say that we believe in learning and that learning is important, but when something negative arises, our first thought is, okay, I give up, this isn't meant for me, then do we actually believe in learning? Because that's the process of learning. It's going from not knowing to knowing. And we can't skip that not knowing part. That's why I say that our first reaction is the true determiner of if we actually believe in learning. And being a personal trainer, I can see this a lot in my clients, in what kind of mindset that they are holding. For example, if they're not able to execute exercise correctly the first time around, or they might not lose weight one week. Yeah, what's the first thought that comes into their mind? How do they speak to themselves straight away when that happens? Yeah, that's the determiner of whether or not we believe in learning, not just saying that we do. Right? So the first question we need to ask ourselves is, do I believe in learning? And once we know the true answer, we will know which mindset we hold. Okay, and the first step in changing our mindset is to understand which mindset we hold. Okay, so before we have a deeper look at the different types of mindsets, let's first talk about how we cultivate these mindsets and how we came to have one of these mindsets. Okay, so these mindsets have many factors affecting them since birth, and some of the major factors is the environment, ways of learning, and our experiences that we've been through. So the environment is basically the people around us. Their mindsets are exposed to us, and if we regularly see a certain mindset, we'll be more inclined to have it also. So if we're surrounded by people with the growth mindset that understand the process of learning and that take on failure very well, more than likely they will influence us to have the same thing. So when we face setbacks, we will sort of deal with it the same way because it's what we're exposed to. The ways of learning, or the ways we were taught, how we were taught to deal with failure, if we were taught to engage in a learning process when failure might happen, to kind of understand why we failed, or were we taught that we need to be great from the start? You know, it's either we have it or we don't. Yeah, if we fail, then don't try. Yeah, so the ways we learn and the ways we were taught also has a major effect. And also the experiences. So this is just different experiences that we have throughout our life that may reinforce whether or not we need to be good from the start, or we can't make it, or to reinforce that it's okay that we might not be good at it at the start, but if we engage in a learning process, we'll slowly get better over time. Right. So these are the main factors affecting the mindsets that we have, and then we slowly start to develop these mindsets from young. All right. How we speak to people and how we commend people also plays a role in the mindset they and we have ourselves. All right. So commending effort and learning in others can help cultivate their growth mindset. All right, because we're commending them and we're emphasizing on their efforts and then the way they have learned and improved over time. Yeah, so that will kind of affect the way they picture what the process of learning is like, what the process of success is like, which might cultivate the growth mindset. Whereas commending someone on achievement only, especially on their natural ability. So if you commend them on saying, wow, you're really great at this, without acknowledging the effort that they went through, you might start to, even though it's not your intent, you might start to cultivate a more fixed mindset because all they're thinking about is, yes, I'm just getting commended on the result and that's it. Nothing else matters. It's just the result. Okay, so the point of this course is to help bring awareness to ourselves and our own mindsets, as well as what we are feeding others and their mindsets also. Okay, so now let's have a deeper look at the mindsets. Okay, so when you start to see the differences between the mindsets, you start to know that each one gives you a completely different look at the world. Okay, so we'll start with the fixed mindset and we'll see what the fixed mindset tends to do for us, or we'll see what the fixed mindset tends to tell us. Okay, so the fixed mindset tends to want to prove themselves because, as we said before, the fixed mindset doesn't really like failure. It's either we can do it or we can't, full stop. Right? So the fixed mindset always tells us that we need to prove ourselves just to show people that we can do it, that we're good enough. Okay, the fixed mindset tends to stick with what's comfortable, and they also tend to avoid seeking challenges. All right, so the reason why they do this is because the fixed mindset likes to prove themselves, as we already said. Yeah, so they always want to do the things that they know they're good at, right? They don't want to seek challenges. They don't want to do things or try things that might test them, yeah, because they need that validation of, yes, I can do it, I am good enough. That's why they stick to the things that they know and they avoid the things that they don't know. All right, they tend to also avoid deficiencies being exposed because, as we said before, they don't like the idea of failing because it's like a hit to the ego sort of thing. Yeah, so they avoid their deficiencies being exposed. Fixed mindset also tends to have an urgency to succeed because if you are good at it, if you do have that skill, that natural ability, then success should come right now, yeah, because you can do it. All right. If you're waiting for it or if it takes time, it just means that you're lacking the ability. All right. That's what the fixed mindset tells us. So success needs to happen now. All right. The fixed mindset also tends to avoid redoing a task. All right, which correlates with the point before with the urgency for success. You know, if we can't do it the first time, then there's no point doing it the second time because it's just not meant for us. We already failed, so what's the point? We can't do it. All right, and then the last point, the fixed mindset tends to transform failure from an action, which is I failed, to an identity, which is I am a failure. Now, this one is very important because it's the self-talk that the fixed mindset gives to us. It's the label that we give to ourselves. It's how we see ourselves, and it's how we let others see us. All right, so when we do encounter a failure or a setback, instead of just classifying that as an action, like, yes, I failed this time, but I can always redo and get better, we kind of let that become our identity. We label ourselves as I am a failure. All right, so that's a very important point. Okay, so this is what the fixed mindset tends to do. Okay, this is what the fixed mindset tends to tell us, and then this is a path that the fixed mindset leads us into the future. Okay, so let's take a look at the growth mindset now and what the growth mindset tends to do. Okay, so the growth mindset tends to like self-development, and we like to take on challenges. Okay, so we like the idea of, okay, we can get better, we can be developed, and we take on challenges to kind of push our limits a little bit to see, okay, where we need to work on and how we need to get better. Right, so we like self-development, and growth mindset likes to take on challenges. Right, the growth mindset also tends to stretch themselves, especially when things are not going their way. Okay, so we understand that things will never go smoothly, and if we want to improve and we truly want to achieve something, then things will definitely, happen here and there that don't really go our way. Setbacks will definitely come, but during these times, the growth mindset tends to stretch themselves. They tend to push even more to find out more about how to do it. Okay, the growth mindset also tends to look to improve when failures arise, and they are able to face failure. All right, so when failures arise, they do not label themselves as I'm a failure. Instead, they look to the failure and say, okay, what is this failure telling me in terms of what I need to do better? All right, we're able to face it with more positivity. The growth mindset tends to be able to retry. So if we aren't able to do it once, we understand that, okay, this may not have worked out, but there is always another way to do it better. All right, so we're able to retry and retry until we get it. The growth mindset also tends to accept that they may not be good at something. So it's not about validation. It's not about, okay, it's either I got it or I don't. I can start off not knowing something and still get very good at it over time. All right. The growth mindset also tends to understand that growth takes time. It's not an instant process. It's not a natural ability. It's not a I'm born with it or I'm not. Growth takes time. It takes effort, and it takes failures to teach us what we're good and what we're not good at and how to get better at it. Okay, so these are the assets of the growth mindset, right? This is what the growth mindset tends to do, and this is the path the growth mindset takes us on in the future. Okay, so I just want to say that even in the growth mindset, failure is still painful. All right, failure will always be painful. It's never going to be a great feeling, even with the growth mindset. But the difference is that with the growth mindset, it just doesn't define you. It doesn't define who you are. It is to be, failures are to be faced, accepted, dealt with, and learned from. That's the growth mindset way. All right, and there's a quote from Carol Dweck, which states, the passion for stretching yourself and sticking to it, even or especially when it's not going well, is the hallmark of the growth mindset. All right, so even when things aren't going your way, or especially when things aren't going your way, having the ability to stick with it and to understand that this is the process for getting better and that you can attain growth, that is the hallmark of the growth mindset. So now that we've been through a little bit deeper about each mindset and the tendencies of each mindset, I hope with this information you can start to bring a little bit of self-awareness to yourself and understand kind of which mindset you're in. So when things arise and things happen that don't really go your way, with this information, I hope you can start to be a little bit aware of how you react to situations, what your first thought is, how you talk to yourself, just so you can truly identify, like, okay, maybe I am in the fixed mindset, or if you're in the growth mindset. And through this awareness and through this identification of what mindset you are, you're able to kind of change it or make small changes to your mindset to allow for a brighter future in terms of growth and learning. Okay, so let's talk about achieving with the growth mindset. All right, so there's many people out there. There's a lot of examples out there that have really shown us what the growth mindset can do and are really examples of how we can achieve and accomplish what we want at a high level with the growth mindset. There's a lot of examples out there, but there are two great examples, and they are Thomas Edison with creating of the light bulb and Michael Jordan, the basketball champion. All right, so these two are from completely different sort of industries, but both of them have applied the growth mindset to achieve at a very, very high level in their field. Okay, and the reason why these people have achieved was not because they were gifted or they were naturals. It was because they had the growth mindset. They understood that if they wanted to be better, if they wanted to achieve, it will take time, it will take effort, and they will definitely fail along the way. Okay, they understood that and they accepted that. Right? That doesn't mean people like them aren't hurt by failure, because they are, but the bounce back is more important, and that's what the growth mindset is good at. All right. The growth mindset is unaffected by labels. So the growth mindset understands that what we are now is not what we could be in the future. Yeah, our talents, our abilities, our skills, our intellects are all changeable. The idea that people are naturals, the labels that we give people that are naturals and are born with a gift, is what may cause us to unconsciously cultivate the fixed mindset. We think, well, if we don't have it, yeah, we won't get it. Yeah, that's not the case for the growth mindset. Some people are able to do great things with little or no training. Yes, that's true, but that doesn't mean others can't do it with training. Right? The more we praise people and children on natural ability, the more chance they have of cultivating the fixed mindset. So through the use of the growth mindset, we can see great achievements such as the two examples mentioned above. All right, Thomas Edison with creating the light bulb, who failed again and again and again at creating or trying to invent the light bulb, but never decided to give in, never told himself that he wasn't good enough, kept trying again and again, and eventually he invented the light bulb. And we also have Michael Jordan, who was cut from his high school basketball team, who was told that he would never make it in basketball, and then turned around and then won 6 championships with the Chicago Bulls. All right, so these are great examples that the growth mindset can help to accomplish in the future, as long as we have that willingness to understand failure, accept failure, and learn from it. Okay, so we've been through quite a bit already about the different types of mindsets, so both the growth mindset and the fixed mindset, the tendencies and the characteristics of both, and how important it is to start to adopt the growth mindset for yourself and for the people around you. All right, so now we're going to go through and talk about the mindset for yourself. So the growth mindset for yourself, practices that you can put in place to start to change and get that mindset for yourself. Okay, so the first thing is to have awareness. All right, so I hope that by now you are aware of the mindset that you usually hold. Yeah, and once you know, then you can start to go through the process of change, because you won't know what you have to change if you don't even know what you hold currently. All right, so next time when you face a failure or a setback, I want you to remember your first response. So when something that doesn't really go your way happens, I want you to remember your first response. Just let it happen. All right, don't try to change it, just let it happen, because that's your most natural response. All right, your first instant response is always the most truthful response, as you haven't had the time to think about the most appropriate or the most beneficial response yet. All right, so then depending on what that response is, you can start to work to change it into a growth mindset if it's not already a growth mindset. Okay. Another thing is remember that what you are now is not what you can be. All right, so growth is a real thing. Right, you just need to accept it and you just need to want it. Right, if others slander you for not being good enough, yeah, try your best not to be bothered by that, because their words say more about them than it does about you. Yeah, all you need to do is continue to grow, and you will give yourself the potential to be what they said you can't be. All right, so just remember, what you are now is not what you can be. Yeah, as long as you start to adopt the growth mindset and adopt the growth process. Try not to fall into the trap of labels. All right, so don't fall into the trap of when others commend you on your natural ability. All right, because there will definitely people that are out there that will be like, wow, you're just naturally gifted. All right, when you hear things like that, thank them. All right, but if you are not cautious, you will start to adopt the fixed mindset. All right, you will not learn how to work hard and deal with setbacks. All right, because it's always possible for us to slip back into believing that we are great at something because we were born with it. Yeah, if that's what other people are emphasizing, it's easy for us to slip back into that. So always be aware that you are here because of the work you put in. Always look for strategies and growth points. All right. So no matter how much the setback hurts when you face it, once you have felt and accepted the pain, Yeah, look for points where you could have done better. All right. Accept feedback that can help you grow, and criticism that won't help you grow can be discarded from your mind. All right. So you don't need to bother with any of that stuff. All right. But when people do give you positive feedback, don't take it in a way that they're telling you how bad you are. Take it in a way that they are trying to help you get better. Yeah, that's the point of feedback. It's supposed to help you grow. All right, don't be afraid to ask for help. Yeah, because I'm quite sure that the best in the world in every field did not do it alone. All right, let the people closest to you know. Show that you are not ashamed of the setback because you shouldn't be. Yeah, and it takes a lot of courage to dig deep and go forward. Dedicate time to practice. All right, this is the true character of someone willing to grow. Yeah, don't fall into the trap of thinking that you can turn it on without proper preparation. All right, a growth character works to get to the top and then works again to stay there. All right, when you see someone that's always on the top, just know that it's practice more than it is natural ability. All right, I just want you to remember that someone of true character is not determined by how successful they are, how many wins or losses they have. If you go for it with all that you have, in actually doing it and practicing for it, then you already have true character. Okay, so this is how the growth mindset sort of works for yourself. All right, these are just practices that you can put in place to kind of identify and change your mindset and set you up better moving forward in terms of achieving and accomplishing. Okay, so we've spoken about how the mindset works for ourselves, how to identify our mindsets, and how to start to change to a more growth-oriented mindset, and the practices that we can do and implement to do that. All right, so now we're going to go through and talk about the mindset for others. So this talks about the mindset that you have towards others and the mindset you help others to cultivate. Okay, so the first one is to commend effort. All right, if we commend people on their natural ability, all we are doing is reinforcing that they are only good because they are natural at it. Right, so don't get me wrong, it's okay to commend achievements, but do it in a way where you identify their effort that they have put into attaining that achievement. Right, so instead of just saying congratulations, you're an absolute natural at this, make sure that when you congratulate them, you mention how hard they tried or the effort that they put in, the practice that they put in to be able to get them to that state. All right, because it is the effort that got them there. It's not just because they were born to do it. All right, so always remember to commend the effort, not just the achievement. Don't be afraid to ask questions. All right, so we are not meant to know everything. A growth mindset constantly asks questions and confronts the most brutal answers. They ask to learn how, and when they make a mistake, they're able to take the feedback on. Right, that's how you become a better leader for others to follow your growth mindset. And if you do this, it will help you to improve as a leader yourself in order for you to lead others. And in turn, if other people see you do this, if the people that you're leading see you do this and they see the improvements you gain from the growth, it may in turn influence their change of mind. Which leads me to my next point of being an example. You shouldn't constantly try and prove yourself and prove that you are better than others. You shouldn't highlight pecking order, you shouldn't claim credit for others' work, and you shouldn't undermine others for your own power. But instead, what you should do is constantly try to improve. And the people that are ready to follow will follow you. Right? People will start to see a different way in thinking. Right? Be that change another person needs. Show them what it is to have a growth mindset instead of just speaking about it. Also, it's very important to lead with growth, as we mentioned before. Every word and action we make will have an effect on someone who is watching us, especially children. So when it comes to success and failure, always do the most to convey the message of growth so others understand the importance of developing their abilities. Right? Give examples of how you struggled and outgrown your struggle. Show them how much they have improved. Right? Do things that give others the mentality that I can always learn to do better. All right, that's the mentality that you should always be feeding other people in order for them to start to cultivate a growth mindset. I really hope you have all gained something from this course. I really hope that now you can follow the process of identifying your mindset, correcting your mindset, and then helping others to do the same to get their new growth mindset. All right, so hopefully you guys have gained something, gained some practical steps that you guys can start using to hopefully help you guys better achieve your goals in the future. All right, good luck and may you start to accomplish with your growth mindset.